Well, hey there, this is Zeke, and I'm out in my workshop, and I just watched a almost 30-minute video of Michigan State Representative Jewel Jones getting arrested, and it had dash cam footage and in-vehicle footage in the video, and felt like I needed to comment on it. Representative Jones did everything wrong. When the first police officer arrived on the scene, there was an ambulance there, and the ambulance was saying, "Yeah, we're not taking this guy." And the reason they were saying that is because he was being combative, and he felt that he shouldn't be held accountable for what he had done. And what did he do? Well, he was driving under a lot of influence of alcohol. Apparently, his blood alcohol level was 0.19, which is over double what the limit is to be able to drive. And he was driving, and he crashed his vehicle into a ditch. And when he did so, he called for an ambulance. And so an ambulance was dispatched. And the ambulance crew was like, "No, we're not letting this guy in our ambulance," because he was combative. And basically expected them to give him a ride home and just let it all go. So the police arrived, and the first officer on the scene walked up and confronted him, and in a very policeman-like way, where he's like, "Okay, we've got a situation. I'm going to take control of the situation." And he asked the guy for Mr. Representative Jones for his ID and his driver's license, which he refused to produce. Yeah, and the officer asked several times, and he refused to produce it. And he said, "I just want to ride home." And the officer's like, "We're not going to do that. We're going to find out what's going on here first." And then another officer arrived and stood behind Representative Jones, and Representative Jones started questioning why. And the officer said, "Well, because he's my partner, he's my backup, he's going to make sure this doesn't get out of control." The guy, Representative Jewell, continued to refuse to provide his ID or anything else. He was just demanding a ride home. And by this time, even in the video, he appeared to be pretty intoxicated. And so finally the officer was like, "Okay, if you're not going to provide your ID, we're going to arrest you, and we're going to get your ID." And then Representative Jones started resisting arrest. So the two officers took him down to the ground, and they got a handcuff on his right arm, but he refused to allow them to take his left arm, and he was fighting them. He was a big guy too, Mr. Representative Jones. He's a big guy. And so they kept saying, "Stop resisting, give me your left arm." He kept refusing, and this went on for a while, and finally one of the officers tased Representative Jones, and he still didn't give up his arm. And so then they pepper sprayed him in the face, and he still didn't give up his arm. And finally a third officer arrived on the scene, and then a fourth, and they finally got his other arm behind him and handcuffed him, while informing him, "You're under arrest, dude. This is out of your hands now." So Representative Jones, during this whole altercation, was saying, "I write your budgets, man, or bro." He's, "I'm going to call Governor Whitmer, and I'm going to." I mean, he was basically, he was threatening the officers and their careers for doing their job. Anyway, eventually they got him under arrest. They didn't have to fire a gun on him, but he did have a loaded gun in his car. So Representative Jones has now been charged with a whole lot of crimes, big crimes. And it shouldn't have gone this way. And I've said this many, many times before. All you got to do, if you don't want to get hurt or roughed up or shot or injured by police officers, once your the subject of their attention. You follow their commands. You remain calm, and you allow yourself to be arrested. And none of this goes sideways, ever. He might have had a chance to even get out of some of these tickets, but now, basically, his public career is probably over. I don't know, though. It is Michigan, after all. But it's so unnecessary. And, there's one other thing. The whole time he was claiming that they were doing this because he was black. No, they were doing this because he was involved in a traffic accident while heavily intoxicated, and he resisted arrest. That's why it happened. Had nothing to do with your skin color, Representative Jones. Had everything to do with your behavior. I am so sick and tired of this narrative. And it seems to me that Black Lives Matter and Antifa are pretty much telling the country that police shouldn't even respond to a police call when there is a black suspect involved. And black suspects should never be arrested, no matter what they do. Yeah, how's that going to work? How's that going to work for society? Yeah, I don't think it's going to work too good. I'm sick of the stupid. That's my thoughts on it. Have a great day. Oh, and one other thing. This is the trouble with representatives. By the way, he's a Democrat, and they're worse than Republicans at this particular thing. They seem to think that they write the laws, so they're above the laws, and they shouldn't have to follow them. That's another big problem we have in our country right now. There's my thoughts on it. Have a great day.